Hello, people, and welcome to the first match review I've actually done this season. Now, I know I said I was going to be doing a lot more live shows this season, and hopefully from now on, I actually do. I've been Mr. Inconsistent, it's been fair to say. So, we should be live. We should be all okay. Hopefully we are. If you can hear me, if you can see me okay, let me know. Let's hope that that is the case. I'm just trying to get it up myself in the background just to make sure everything is okay. And then we will, of course, get going as normal. Looks okay on my end. Let's welcome everyone in. James, you're not wrong, mate. Not wrong at all. Riley, hope we're well, mate. How are we doing? Dan as well. Welcoming you. The first three in. You're all absolute legends. So yeah, plan of action. Well, there's a lot to cover. There is a lot to cover, unfortunately, and with the greatest respect, not for the correct reasons. We're going to be kind of taking a look at in-depth stat deep dive, should I say, my general thoughts on the game, individual errors, individual performances, management, and all that sort of thing. So we've got a lot to go over. Of course, we're live, so you can get your live thoughts on the stream through the chat functionality. Of course, I can bring up comments like so, just on the screen. It's nice and easy, a bit more interaction. So let's hope that this goes swimmingly. So where to start? Before we bring up any of the stats or anything, I think I'll just give my match summary. If you haven't already, by the way, go and give the matchday vlog a watch. It is live on the channel now. It's doing very well, actually. Thanks to everyone who's watched it so far. Amazing support. Everyone who's subscribed from it, amazing. And it's so good to be back. Smashing it with the Cheltenham vlogs. And hopefully there'll be more sit-down videos like this, more sit-down streams coming soon. But where to start? I thought for the first 20 minutes of the game, it was two poor sides slogging it out, really. I thought we were probably the better team in the first 20 minutes. When we look at some of the stats, they sort of suggest that. I think from the moment that Stubbs has tried to play the ball forward, played it straight into Shipley, and we've almost conceded, I think from then on it was guaranteed to only be a downward slope. We've switched off from that moment onwards. I don't think we had much positivity going forward prior to that, but we just had the greater share of the attacking prowess, let's say. I mean, there's not really much else more to say on that side of things. I think that mistake from Stubbs really, really shows where we're at right now. And the thing is, Stubbs will get the main blame for it. But Shipley, his positioning was terrible, as someone who is meant to be playing at left wing back. It's like he's got two weak feet, basically. He doesn't have a strong foot, that guy. I do feel a bit bad for him because he's a centre-back. He's a left-sided centre-back being played at wing-back. It's never going to work. It's never going to work, but there's no excuse for that positioning. It was terrible. And I also want to say Owen Evans, I thought, had a really poor game. He had a good bit of goalkeeping where he punched away a corner, I believe, and then obviously cross came back in and he's just collected it in the air. Very cool from him, but after that, it was a very, very disappointing performance, and he was also at fault for that mistake. If you watch it on the vlog, his positioning for it is terrible. He's practically in line with the post. He's had an absolute nightmare, basically, and it's a combination of all three of those players that we've almost scored one of the worst own goals you will ever see. It's almost like the ball was going in slow motion, the way that Owen Evans made a meal of it. I mean, it says a lot, really. It does say a lot. But like I say, from that moment onwards, it was always going to be an uphill struggle. And, of course, they then go and score, 10 minutes later? Less than that. The first goal was a shambles defensively. I mean, by the time their player has actually won the header, two of our centre-backs were on the floor. And And then it's a very good header. He's put it into the far corner. I think even if Owen Evans had tried to go for it full stretch, don't think he would have got near it. Maybe would have got fingertips. But it was all in the defending and the control defensively in the build up. But we can't be allowing for this weakness from the centre backs. We just physically can't. There's been too many times this season where the odd centre back has made a mistake or been out muscled or been out jumped by a striker. And it's funny because you look back to the Barrow game, the first goal that they scored, their striker has risen above Stubbs. I think that was probably one of the only headers that, Bradbury and Stubbs combined lost. And it's resulted in the goal. We're seeing too many of the same patterns at the moment, and that's what frustrated me about the first. And then 3 minutes later, we concede again. This one was even worse for me. I thought, again, a good ball into the box, but none of our defenders were anywhere near it. You've got the old defender who's not even looking at their man. The Swindon attackers, there was 2 or 3 that lost their markers so easily, and really poor, really poor. Owen Evans again should have done better. I mean, it's literally just down to his side. I know it's coming in fairly quickly, but you can't be affording to let those go in. Again, if you watch it on the vlog, you'll see what I mean. He should be getting there. But again, the blame's not on him. The blame's on how crap our defending has been. And that's been the case. That's been the case for so many goals this season. We've conceded so many where you'd say maybe Owen Evans should have done better. The ball shouldn't have even got there in the first place. I think that's what we've got to accept. For the rest of the first half, I mean, there was only about 9 minutes left after when they put their second away. It was terrible. I went down. I mean, we had 3 minutes of injury time, and I went down with about 2 minutes to go, and I didn't miss anything. Put it that way. That concluded the first half. Basically, tragic. Like, we had a few chances going forward. We well and truly. I'm trying not to swear too much because I'm on live. Well and truly messed them up. And the first half, I think, summed up our season so far. We don't look terrible in patches, and then one bad thing happens, and for some reason, a team where there's several players that are very experienced don't seem to have the backbone to hold their mentality that they've started with from kickoff. The second something goes wrong, heads drop. May as well have your head buried under one road, because it seems like that's how low we are at times after anything bad happens. And that mistake from Stubbs, Shipley and Owen Evans that's almost costed the goal was the catalyst in everyone's heads going. It's as simple as that. And that was the first half. And then the second half, I mean, the goal we conceded 2 minutes in was terrible. How many times in that attack are you thinking to yourself, just get rid of it, just get rid of it, just get rid of it, just do something, put it out of play, hoof it forward, get it away from one of their men, win it back, move forward with it, whatever. And our players have shat themselves. There's no other better word for it. They've absolutely shat themselves. And it was like a circus at the back. Absolute circus. They must have had about 20 touches between all of their players inside their own box before that shot has gone in. And it wasn't a great shot either, I think. We had a player on the line. I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Stubbs. Again, maybe he could have got near to it. But, when you're on the line, you don't really want to be throwing yourself at things and risking a handball and getting sent off, I suppose. But... when that's been the defending in the build-up to it and you're about to go 3-0 down, I think I'd like to see a bit more, dying for the badge. I'm not questioning the passion of the players. I think it's more, You know, they're professional footballers. A lot of them have had success in the Football League. Prove it. You got to prove it. There has to be some sort of evidence to these players having the careers that they've had in the way they play. They don't carry themselves like that. They really don't. The only player that I would say slightly does is Luke Young. He's looked solid. One of our best players this season, a year and a half ago, was practically Sunday League level. You know, this is what we're working with. It's not good enough. And then, I don't even know if it's worth talking about our goals. I still thought we were terrible. We had so many chances to score goals. We should have equalised. The amount of attacking we did, and you'll see it in the stats when I bring up the stats. The amount of attacking we did, we shouldn't have lost that game. Despite being 3-0 down, we shouldn't have lost that game. If we had a bit more attacking prowess, a bit more versatility in a lot of the players from the defence to the midfield to attack, an ability to, you know, adapt to what is a very cagey game, despite conceding 3 goals. You know, there has to be more. There has to be more, and there wasn't. And you know, to be honest, I think we did well to even get it back to within a goal, because I honestly didn't think we were ever going to score. I still think our first goal was offside. That's why I didn't get it on camera, actually, because I was convinced that Thomas, I think it was Thomas, out on the right, was offside. I was almost certain of it. And the liner's flag didn't go up. But anyway, a goal's a goal. Didn't come to anything, though. You know, we've scored 2 goals in a game on home patch and still come away thinking that was crap. That was terrible. That's how bad, that's how down bad we are right now. And it's not good enough. But before we get into the stats, that's my game summary. Let's see what the chat's saying. I'm a Swindon fan. Cheltenham played well second half. Do you like Cheltenham players' transfers? I think we had a few good bits of business from summer. I think Arkell Jude Boyd is probably the pick of the bunch, but now he's obviously long-term injured. Don't know when we'll get him back. I like Ethan Archer. I think he's a really good player. You know, come up from next to nowhere in the last couple of years, and now is you know, one of our better players in League Two. Maybe that says more about where we're at, but he doesn't look like a bad player at all. There is the odd player to me that's just diamonds in the rough, well and truly. We've had so many injuries that it's hard to pinpoint players, because that's the other thing that we'll go on to in a bit when we talk about management, etc. There's so many factors that are contributing to us being shit, and the injuries is one of them. So picking like the best transfers, I think, is difficult, seeing as 3 of them have got long-term injuries. What can you do? What can you do? What's going wrong? Clearly your worries at the start of the season are being shown now. Hey Josh, listen, I said this on TikTok, I said this on YouTube, I said this on other people's channels, right? We're in trouble. We are. It was so evident before the start of the season, but because we were a newly relegated team, and people just didn't really want to hear it because we were newly relegated, no one believed me. I think most Cheltenham fans felt the same, shared the same thoughts as me. And unfortunately, I wish it wasn't, but unfortunately, I've been proven to be right. It's just frustrating. How's things? Things are good, mate. Things are good. It's good to be back on YouTube a bit more regularly. What are your thoughts on Thomas? Should he be starting most weeks? Well, yes, obviously, but it's getting him into a team that plays wing backs. He's a winger. Like, how do you fit him in? This is the issue I've got with Thomas. He's the only out and out winger at the club. The next closest we've got is Jude Boyd, but he's more of a wing back. He does defending and attacking, right? I don't see Thomas defending. He's brilliant going forward, but I don't see him defending. How do you fit him into that team if we're going to persist with playing wing backs? But then if we're going to play wingers and Jude Boyd's injured, who else plays on the wing? Who else plays on the wing? And then if we're playing wingers, are we sticking with the 3 back, or are we going to like a 4-4-2, for example? Then, who are our fullbacks? This is my issue. I would love to say start Thomas every week, but how do you squeeze him in? Maybe play him as a sort of a 10, sort of lying a bit deeper behind 2 strikers. Possibly that could work, but I think he's much more effective going out to the wing, taking a man on, playing it into the box, crossing it in, cutting in, shooting. I think in the middle of the pitch he'll be overwhelmed. We haven't seen enough of him in that position. I just get the feeling he'd be overwhelmed. So it's a difficult one. A few people have said hello. How are we, lads? Payne and Thomas changed the game second half. They should start next game. I was impressed with Payne yesterday, actually. I thought Payne has had a few difficult games this season. I haven't been his biggest fan, but he did himself a lot of favours when he, in the second half yesterday, and when he was on. I think he did change the game for the better, like you say. Sorry, I haven't put it on screen. But the problem is, we're talking a lot about individuals on this live so far. We need a team. I don't think we've got a team at the moment. You can't have a team of individuals. We don't even have a team of individuals, if that makes sense. We've got 4 or 5 players that could definitely do a job if surrounded by another 6 or 7 players of the same standard, but that's not the case. There's too many players that are inconsistent. There's too many players that are just downright not good enough. There's too many players that are injured, like I say. So there's a lot of decisions to be made, and it's a delicate situation. 5-2-3-1, Archer and Thomas wide. You could play Archer wide. But I think then, who are you then playing in a central midfield role alongside Young, or someone of that sort, like a Scott Bennett if he plays in midfield, or whoever else. You need to have a bit of youth, a bit of flair, a bit of pace in that midfield. And I think if you do take Archer out to the wing, you're then losing that from the central midfield positions. I think the closest you've got to that is Pat, and Pat's not the quickest. So he's got the flair, but Kinsella is a shout. But at the moment, we're having to play him out wide. There's too many players that have just been chucked into positions that's limiting them from playing in their best positions and actually having an effect on the game to the level that they know, and we know that they can have an effect if played correctly. It's a frustrating one, man. Should Sona be starting? That I think that's a completely different discussion. I don't remember the last time he played, if I'm honest. No, that's a lie. I don't remember the last time I've seen him have an effect on the game when he has played. I mean, the Salford game summed it up. He's been subbed on. This was Flynn's fault, but he's been subbed on and hooked after 20 minutes. Don't get me wrong, he didn't do himself any favours, but he's been subbed on in a game that doesn't suit him. And I think if you don't have that versatility, as much as that's on the manager for subbing you on in the first place, we need versatile players. We're 21st in the league. We're 21st in the league now. Right, we're 3 points above relegation. You can't be relying on keeping players fit and whatever. You need to have quality within versatility, if that makes sense. We've got players that have filled in other positions but have been terrible. Shipley's had to go out onto the left wing back. He's done terribly. That's not a fault of his own. He's a centre back. But what more can he do? Anyway, let's dive into the player ratings. So this is from SofaScore. Take it with a pinch of salt. I think a lot of these ratings are very generous. I have no idea how Stubbs has a 6.4. If I was doing ratings with the players starting at a rating of, well, I think on SofaScore they start at a rating of 6.5, I believe. it's got to be a 5, between 5 and 5.5. He's had a howler. Stubbs had a terrible game yesterday, and it's a shame because someone mentioned this on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on Instagram Live yesterday, for those of you that tuned into that. The problem I've got with him is his first few games for us, he was our best defender. Well, him and Bradbury obviously best defenders, but like that Harrogate game, for example, where Bradbury was a standout, so was Stubbs. But because of how good Bradbury was, no one really spoke about Stubbs. He had 3 or 4 really good games when he first came in, and I was thinking, right, let's hope that he doesn't get recalled in January. Listen, things change quickly in this league and at this club. Things change very quickly. How many mistakes has Stubbs made in the last few weeks? Genuinely, you need more than one hand to count, I think. How many times has he been defending? He's had the chance to eliminate the danger, whether that's via putting in a solid tackle, putting in a block, getting in between an attacker and the ball, or just clearing it if it comes to him. How many times of those sort of occasions has he done that in recent weeks? Again, I think I'd need more than 2 hands to count. So it's difficult, man. He's a player that has quality, right? He will no doubt come out the other side of this. But until the rest of the team start turning up, he's not going to come out of this, with the greatest of respect. By the way, just a quick apology for my voice. I will have a quick drink. But when is he going to turn this corner? This can't keep going on, can it? It can, as once said. But no, I don't know. And I mean, Scott Bennett in the middle again, subbed. I don't know how long we can go on with having Scott Bennett in the middle of that defence. I suppose at least he's not having to fill in for one of the left or right central defenders, because with his pace, oh my gosh, he gets so exposed. But he's another one. He's had too many mistakes for an experienced player. The amount of mistakes that he's made are unacceptable. Listen, I get that he's kind of slowing down now. Whether people admit it or not, he is coming towards the back end of his career. But there's no excuse for some of the mistakes he's made. He's an experienced guy. He's had a very long career in the Football League. Show it. Again, like I said, show it. Prove it, because his composure is not there. Come on. Like I say, I get that you're slowing down. I get that the legs aren't as fast as they used to be. I get it. But it's still there in the head. It still remains up there, always. Any footballer will say the same. So why does it look like it's not there for Bennett? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he gets up to on a Friday night. Maybe he's just majorly hungover every Saturday, because the way he plays at times, it wouldn't surprise me. Bradbury, to be honest, I'm Tom Bradbury's biggest fan, as everyone knows. I don't think he did anything wrong yesterday. Maybe aside from the first goal, he could have done better, but it's not really his man to be winning the header from. I don't think he really put a foot wrong. That doesn't mean I think he put a foot right. He was probably our best centre back again. He is our most reliable defender now. You wouldn't think he'd be saying that a few weeks ago when he was still on the transfer list and not even playing. That's a distant memory now. He is probably our best form-wise and best reliability-wise centre-back that we've got at the moment. Again, I wouldn't say he had any drastic impact on the game yesterday. I won't go through all of the others. I'll mention the 2 or 3 players that I thought were the best players for us by a country mile, and it's 2 of them have the highest ratings. I thought Kinsella was solid again. To say that he had to play out on the right, which of course he is much better in midfield, I thought he did a fairly good job. Having said that, every attack came down our left, so maybe it was because he didn't get exposed to enough attacking down his side. Who knows? But pretty much everything came down our left until their goal early on in the second half. I don't remember in the first half them attacking down our right at all. Archer, I thought I thought was probably our best player on the pitch. I mean, he got a goal, he got an assist. But the contributions to me don't matter. They don't matter. I thought he was the only player that looked lively. He looked like he wanted it. He was on his toes. But the composure was there. You know, if you were ground hopping yesterday, I'm sorry to hear if you were, but if you were ground hopping yesterday and you looked at that team and you didn't know the players' ages and everything else, you had no knowledge of any of the players, you'd have looked at Archer and said, he's the most experienced player of the lot. Listen, that says a lot. That says a lot, chat. You know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I genuinely think, from an outsider perspective, he shows the most experience out of anyone else in this team. But comment your thoughts on that. You know, it's subjective. You know, these performances at the moment are totally down to opinion. They're going to change person on person. So, you know, if you think anything different, then don't feel against letting me know in the chat. It's always good to get some interaction. I'm just going to have a sip of water because my voice is absolutely knackered. And then I think the rating's been harsh on him, and maybe it was just because of his first half performance that I think he that I think he did well. But I thought Manny Norkett had a solid go at yesterday. He was the only one in the first half getting forward. When I made the point at half time on the vlog that when we go forward with the ball, 90% of the time, there's usually only one player actually making a run or making any form of movement off the ball that is actually going to carry on taking us forward. I think, you know, he was the one doing a lot of the running yesterday on the ball and off it. But unfortunately, you know, probably why the rating is so low, you know, when he was on the ball going forward, he had no options. So he'd just get pressed, get tackled, lose the ball, play a dodgy pass. But that's because there's not enough off the ball movement, and this is why, unfortunately, you do have the odd person that is raising the question of passion. Because if you haven't got players running off the ball, this is simple stuff. You know, I stopped playing football at youth level for my local village team 2-3 years ago. Right, that was always the basics. You move off the ball. You got to give options. We don't give options. There was an occasion yesterday where, was it in between the two goals or after both? It was around the time of either the mistake or the goals, and we've had it down the right side, and I think Kinsella's got it and he's played it forward, and he's found Norkett, or he's found Bowman, and Norkett's making a run, and then Norkett gets the ball, and he's got nowhere to go. He's got absolutely nowhere to go. No one's moved forward. I know it's a counter-attack, but this happens on every attack, right? Even when it's not a counter-attack, we're just sat on the ball in the defence. Their players are behind the ball. No one's moving, ever. And I feel bad for Norkett. I thought he did really well. He was the player that we mentioned at half-time. He was the standout in the first half, that's for sure. Him and Archer were the best two players on the pitch, I think. Oh, sorry, on the pitch for us, should I say. So, yeah, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. Let's catch up. Bradbury's our best centre-back on paper. I mean, I just want to quickly bring this up because I did screenshot it. These were Sam Stubbs' stats yesterday. Fucking hell, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Sam Stubbs' stats. There we go. 5 clearances. I don't remember him making a single one, if I'm honest. Oh, we got a fly. Whoops. 1 interception. 1 ground duel won. 28 possession lost. 2 fouls. Come on. This is a player that has played for Bradford. This is a player that knows the Football League. This is a player that knows League 2. What's going on? You look at his stats for Harrogate. He was excellent. He was absolutely excellent. Defensively, let's ignore Bradbury for a sec, because that's the best individual performance we've had all season. Bradbury against Harrogate. Let's ignore him, mate. My voice is so gone. I'm sorry. Let's ignore him. Stubbs, defensively, best player on the pitch against Harrogate. Had a few good games around that. Since then, straight down. He's been poor. He's been poor, and I think there's been times where he's gotten unlucky because the attacking prowess of the opposition has been really threatening. I thought Barrow, where he didn't win the header for the first goal, he should be doing better, but that's just great attacking. It's great awareness, great vision. It's a great cross. You can't say much more. But yesterday, and this is no insult to Swindon, because I thought they looked alright going forward, but it was shocking. He was terrible. He offered far too many chances for Swindon to score. They could have easily been 5 up, to be honest, and they didn't have that many chances. They really didn't, but it still felt like it could have been way more than 3. So, yeah, but Bradbury isn't our best centre-back on paper. He is our best centre-back. There's no on paper about it. You don't need the highest quality glasses possible to see that that's true. You know, he is at the moment streets better than the others in terms of reliability, in terms of strength, in terms of in the air, in terms of going forward, in terms of passing, in terms of defensive awareness, in terms of lack of making mistakes, which we shouldn't be talking about, but the other centre-backs love a mistake at the moment. So, you know, what more can you say? I think Archer's been our best player so far all season. People might disagree. I wouldn't disagree. I think there's one or two others. I think if Jude Boyd hadn't got injured, he'd be my player of the season so far. Bradbury's up there. I actually think Owen Evans hadn't had a bad season up until yesterday. I thought yesterday he really let himself down. He lowered his standards a lot. You know, the finishing from them wasn't brilliant, and his goalkeeping has made it look. It's made it look better than it was, in my opinion. Agree Norkett should not have been hooked. Bowman offered nothing, and is terrible in the air for a target man. Unfortunately, I think gone are the days of Bowman being an out and out target man. I think the only time he acts as more of a target man is when you're whipping the ball to him in the box. You know, he showed it at against Accrington. You know, it's a great cross from Kinsella. That's the highest I've seen Bowman jump all season. He's absolutely leapt and plucked out of the air, and proper, really good header. A lot of force behind it. Where's that in the middle of the park? You're not wrong. Where is that in the middle of the park? You can't be having him as the only target man at the club, or out and out target man with his experience and track record, and him not be winning his battles in the middle of the park. You know, I think often this season you look at our patterns of play. I think our games are won and lost in the middle of the park because the goals we concede are mistakes. So I don't think the game's won and lost in the defensive areas. Well, they are literally, but in terms of the actual patterns of play, I think the middle of the park is always what seems to cost us. Or the middle of the park and the input and or output from that. Because we don't seem to offer a lot going forward at the moment. We leak in the midfield far too much. Like, you've got players making runs from the halfway line to the edge of our own box. What's that all about? Simplistics. Goalkeeper a bit poor. Yeah, he wasn't great yesterday, John. Up the Swin, says STFC. Well done on your win, mate. Massive 3 points for you boys. Oh, almost deleted a comment. Personally think Bradbury and Kinsella both in class. Who knows why we wanted them gone. I mean, the only, I actually don't know myself, but the only excuse I can give is maybe Flynn had a few options transfer wise pop up and wanted to see if we could get some funds in from Bradbury and Kinsella to bring in something completely different that we didn't already have. Maybe another winger. Then we could have started Jordan Thomas every game and played two wingers, two out and out wingers. I don't know. The way in which that seemed very rushed. That's the only sort of thing I get from it, but that's a complete guess. I have nothing to go off of. So, were you at Cheltenham vs Accrington Stanley? No, I was still in Spain. Yes, Cam. Would you still start Scott Bennett? Because I don't think he's good enough. I would, because right now with our injuries, who else do we start? Let me get the lineup up again, just off screen. Yeah. So on Saturday, we had Bradbury, Bennett, and Stubbs as our back three, and then on the bench we had Levi Lang, who might be one of the worst centre backs I have ever seen. That's probably harsh. I think he's terrible. I genuinely think he's terrible. Defensively and going forward, the guy cannot pass. And listen, I said this on the podcast. I don't think he's good enough, anywhere near it. But the reason he's on loan is to improve. If he gets more game time and improves, buzzing for him. Because, players do often come in and they're terrible. I want to now see him improve. Because he has to, in my opinion. He has to. I think this is a big loan for his career. If a player gets injured, like if Scott Bennett gets injured or Stubbs gets injured, that's his time. And he has to take it. I think he's just waiting for it at the moment. But then obviously Bakare is injured still at the moment. He should be back in the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. But that's what I mean. You have to start him. I think he's better than Lang at the moment. Are you really going to take a risk playing Lang in the middle of a back three, or playing Lang and then having Stubbs or Bradbury in the middle of a back three? I don't think that's a risk worth taking. Despite the fact that Scott Bennett has been poor, I think in the last couple of games he's not been as poor as he was. For example, the Fleetwood game. Admittedly, everyone was terrible. He was our worst player, in my opinion, against Fleetwood. And a couple of the games prior. So, listen, it's a balancing act. Lang is, Bakari isn't. What else do I want to cover? Let's look at the actual stats then. And this is what I mean by we could have won. The stats in this case, there's a lot more to the game than the stats. That's what to take from this. More possession, less big chances, but more shots. Only one less corner. More passes. Same amount of free kicks. It looks like much more of an even game than it was. I think for when did we score a goal? 63. I'd say for about 40 minutes we were getting absolutely embarrassed. Maybe 35, maybe 40 is a bit harsh. I just thought we were shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, the thing that interests me is I didn't get the shots on target on the screenshot, but what I will say is, bear with me. So 15 shots, 3 on target. 3 on target from 15. We forced 1 save from their goalkeeper. Shocking. And what I will say is, as well, I really thought Dan Barden, for them, their goalkeeper, was terrible. Like, the second goal, or was it the first goal? One of the goals, I think it was Archer's, so probably the second one, was so savable. It was so savable, and he's got nowhere near it. I'm pretty sure he got the lowest match rating out of anyone, actually. Let me have a look. Player ratings. Yeah, he had the worst player rating on the pitch. And if I'm honest, I mean, I don't... maybe that's harsh, but he was awful. He wouldn't have looked out of place in a Cheltenham shirt. But, yeah, it's... just looking at those stats, it just frustrates you. It really frustrates you. The thing I want to talk about is this. And this is what worries me. 13 total tackles. 11 clearances. And I'm combining this slide with this one. They made 5 crosses, right? 5 crosses. 2 of their goals came from, guess where? You'll never guess. We've said it for weeks. You'll never guess. Yeah, that's right. The big C that's on the screen. Crosses. 5 crosses. 5 successful crosses out of 11. And 2 of them resulted in goals. In fact, their third, depending on what you class as a cross, their third might even count as it, but there was too many bounces and deflections to know. I mean, this is where I think we go on to the management. 2 secs. Flynn said in his interview, and if you haven't watched Flynn's interview, please do. I don't always watch the interviews. I did yesterday because I wanted to hear what he had to say. I think I've only watched about 4 or 5 interviews this season. Yesterday's was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Everything he said and his assessment of the game was pretty much spot on. He mentioned our inability to defend crosses, the mistakes we make, the lack of presence in the midfield. And he said, you know, certain players aren't giving it enough. Certain players maybe aren't good enough. Are they going to give me more, or have I got to wait to bring in fresh legs in January? Which I thought was very harsh, I can't lie. But, okay, very true. That's very true. But we've been suffering with balls into the box, crosses, or balls on the floor into the box, or to the edge of the box, or long balls coming into our box, right? We've been struggling with them from the get-go. Against Newport, we struggled with crosses. I can't remember if we conceded one or not, but we struggled with crosses, right? Against Grimsby, we could have conceded a few from crosses, but it's gradually gotten even worse. Those first few weren't even that bad. Fleetwood, terrible for it. Accrington, terrible for it. Oh God, what else to even say? Barrow, terrible for it. Yesterday, terrible for it. You know, it's Flynn can mention it all he wants in interviews, but the question I've got for him, and that there's so many questions of Flynn that he needs to answer over the next few weeks with the football that's playing on the pitch. He comes out and says this. So, is it just that the players are simply not good enough, despite the fact that you mentioned that we've got most of our players have played a lot of games in this league? They're experienced heads, you know. Even the players that have played less games, for example, Tom Bradbury, he's had half a season in League One under his belt, and the odd other few games in League One. You know? So, what is being done in training to drill these mistakes out of the players, and also to actually make us capable of defending crosses into our own box? Because he says they train it. Why has there been 0 improvement in the last 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks? You know, this is the question I've got. They train it. They say they train it, right? So where's the improvement? You don't train and not get any improvement unless the players are really bad, and I don't believe they're that bad, or the coaching is tragic. So it's one of the two. And I think over the next few weeks, we'll very quickly realise which one it is. There's a lot of players in this team that aren't good enough. But they're looking worse than that in the ways that they're defending the crossing. Sam Stubbs is good enough. Bradbury's good enough. Scott Bennett I don't think is good enough. But he's looked worse than not good enough. He's looked Gloucester City level. He's looked Havant Waterlooville level. He's looked Eastbourne Borough level. They're actually having an alright season, to be fair. Hey, if we sack Flynn, get Adam Murray in, bring him back. Bring him in as manager. What have you got to lose? That's another conversation to have for another day. And I actually do believe that should happen as well. But, come on. Like, there's a lot of finger pointing that happened yesterday. And I think I am... In the heat of the moment yesterday, I was fuming at Flynn. I still am. But I think from a balanced perspective, it's a long season. There's a lot of difficult decisions in discussion at the club right now. On the pitch, off it. New investment that we need to seek and chat to potential investors and potential new owners. There's a lot of stuff going on. I don't think we want to be spending the money to sack a manager right now. I don't think we want to be taking the risk of sacking a manager right now. I don't think we want to be taking the time that comes with it to sack a manager now. So, as much as I think Flynn's football is terrible and we could do with it gone ASAP, in my head I'm thinking he's now got until this time next month. That's very generous. I was going to say 2 to 3 weeks. This time next month, so middle of November, because they won't sack him before then, unless it goes really badly. They won't. Let's be realistic here. The club will not sack him in the current state that it is, unless we have to, because it's that shit. It's getting that way already. But listen, he's had a lot of questions asked of him and his players in the last 2 weeks. I want to give him enough time. I want to give him sufficient time to find those answers. He's been to several clubs in the Football League. He knows what he's doing. He said it himself. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. He says. He said it on several interviews. Prove it. Michael Flynn, prove it. Please. I would love for me to have said, I wanted to give him more time. Why is this bit of hair stuck up? I wanted to give him more time. Just to make sure he has the chance to answer those questions from the fans and from the critics. So, I would love to see results turn around in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I would love for us to go to Colchester on Saturday and pull a massive result out of the bag. I would absolutely love it. Not because I'm desperate for Flynn's success, but I'm desperate for the ship to be steadied. There is too much going on and off the pitch at the club at the moment. It is not healthy. It's not healthy. And it's turning toxic on the pitch and in the stands. You've got to stop that. And unfortunately, sacking him this soon, it's not going to make it any better. It won't make it any worse. But it's not going to make the atmosphere any better. Put it that way. Because the second that... I guarantee if we sack Flynn, we'll have 2 to 3 weeks of Aaron Downs as the interim. That is a fact. It's so obvious that we will have Aaron Downs as an interim. And then he'll get a few good wins and he'll come in. Or we'll have to wait until we get another manager, can afford another manager. It's stressful times. Get your thoughts on the whole Michael Flynn situation in the chat, because I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. I've spoken to a lot of people about it, but I haven't really properly sat down and said it on here. I've said it on the podcast, the Robins Report podcast. If you haven't given that a listen, Go over to Spotify, Robin's Report podcast. Do a podcast every week. I've been on it the last 2 weeks. I hadn't been on it for ages. I'm back now. I'd like to think the last 2 weeks have actually been very good listens. So if you get the chance, feel free to go give it a listen. But go subscribe to it. There'll be a podcast out hopefully next Friday, I believe. So stay tuned. What is your... Okay, this is probably the last discussion I'll have while we get some comments coming in about Flynn. And I'll just ask the question now, and then I'll catch up with the chat. In fact, no, I'll catch up with the chats first. We've had worse games. 4-0 to Barnsley last year in February wasn't great. I would say the worst game of football I've watched at Wooden Road. I'm not joking, by the way, because if we're forgetting scoreline here, if we're just basing it off of performance, Fleetwood at home this season was the worst I've ever seen. Or not ever seen, but okay, since Duff came in, let's say, I think that Fleetwood game is the worst I've seen us play at Wooden Road. Like, I've seen us lose 4-1 to Bristol Rovers. I've seen us lose 4-0 to Barnsley. I've seen us lose to Exeter last season. That was terrible. I've seen us... who else have we lost 3-0 to at home? I don't even know. There's a fair few. There's a fair few when we were in League One. I've seen us lose 5-0 to Cambridge. There you go. That's one that always goes under the radar. The 5-0 at home to Cambridge. That was pretty bad. Wasn't it? You forget about that one, don't you? But I genuinely think I haven't seen a worse performance than that Fleetwood game. Oh, my voice. That Fleetwood game. Terrible. What's Flynn teaching them in training? Honestly, it's crap. You're not wrong. A Swindon Town. I don't know what that's meant to mean, but there we go. Flynn's not that good, but it takes a while for a whole new squad to gel. Yeah, but we're 11 games in now, mate. I agree to an extent, but they're experienced. Most of them are experienced players. They've gone through, there's some of them that have played for 4 or 5 clubs minimum in their career, right? Like, they know how to settle in at new clubs. They know how to bed the team in. Scott Bennett, club captain, right? Why is this process of gelling, if that is still what we're going through right now, why is that taking so long when he's been through it himself on so many occasions, and he's a figurehead of the team, hence why he's captain, that the younger lads look up to? That's all I'll say. Flynn's been dealt a tough hand. However, some of the calls he makes astounds me. He has been dealt a tough hand. I think I would love to know how much freedom he actually got with the transfers. I would love to know how much of it was Johnson's say and how much of it was Flynn's say. Because I think at this point in time, where the club is where it's at, I don't care what Johnson's job is. He shouldn't be involved in the transfers. That's probably a very interesting take. And there's easily a lot of opposition views to that. I get it, right? But you need your manager to take the reins. So if Flynn's still here in January, and I'm seeing, Johnson come out of the pipework, or come out from under his rock that he's seemingly under at the moment, and start trying to be the puppet master, let's say. See you later. I didn't want him back in the first place. That's just my opinion. I didn't like how he left Cheltenham previously. I think he left on bad terms. With the fans mostly, with the club a bit as well, but mostly with the fans. So there's a lot of people that, regardless of what happens with Johnson, they'll never be on side. They'll never be on side of them. And this is actually linked in. This is actually linked into no one's other chat. So we'll just carry on with this chat. But Get your thoughts on Johnson in the chat. I think... I still think it is astonishing, absolutely astonishing, that the club even began to think that getting him back was a good idea after how he left things last time with the fans. He left in such a toxic manner. I don't actually think Johnson has been anywhere in his career and it not end toxically. Is that even a word? It not end toxic. But there's a lot of discussion points of Johnson. There's a lot of discussion points. Chris says, don't see Flynn getting sacked before January. I agree with your Adam Murray comment. The football he played took a significant change for the worse when he left. And you talk to any of the players that are here now that were here last season. There's not many. What? Who is there? Bradbury, Pett, Tails, Kinsella. Is that it? Might actually be it. Hold on, let me look at that. Oh, Jordan Thomas. Yeah, so Jordan Thomas, Kins, Bradbury, Pat, Kinsella. Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. So there we got like 5 players. You ask any of them, they've all said, and they've said it in interviews, Muzza leaving was so big because we were on really good form. This was when Darryl Clark had us cooking, right? And then Adam Murray left, and he left when? I did a TikTok about it. Let me just scroll while I talk. I should be able to find it quite quickly, yeah. He left in January, and that was, our form around that time was alright. It was alright, in all honesty. And him leaving seemingly had a massive, massive impact on the players. I think it all just shows the problems from above her and Gary Johnson and Flynn. After losing Darryl Clark, it's just not good enough. I do think money plays a part. Unfortunately, I do think that is quite a big influence. Unfortunately, you hate to mention it, but I mean, who else could we have gotten other than Flynn that is reasonable after just getting relegated and everything else? Is there anyone? Quite possibly not. So it's a tough one. Josh is in. Go on, Josh. How we doing, mate? Good to see you. I did try and persuade Josh to come on the live tonight, but he wasn't around, sadly. So he's a busy man these days. But hey, guys, if you want Josh on future lives, let me know. I'll try and get it in the pipe work. That's the hope. That's the hope. He's a top man. Good ball knowledge. What a boy. What a boy. Right. This. How do I highlight a comment? Can I highlight a comment? Oh God, what have I done? Oh, what have I done? Okay, no, it's fine. I can't. But anyway, that I can star it. What does that mean? Oh no, it just goes into a different box. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. This comment sums it up. Could we really have not got anyone better? Like, there's nothing, genuinely, I don't think I've ever seen anything else scream desperation more. If I'm honest. It absolutely stinks of desperation. It's mental. It's absolutely mental to me. But, there's people at the top that make the decisions. Their decisions are final. They, in theory, do what's right for the club always. You often wouldn't know it. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to say too much. I think, listen, I'll respect whatever decisions those at the top make. Unfortunately, a lot of them have gone bad. They'll happily admit that themselves. There has been a lot of success with the club over the last few years, but unfortunately at the moment it's all negative, and it's hard to talk about anything other than that, and the appointments and the decisions that have been financed and decided at the top of the food chain, if you like. By the way, if you are enjoying the live, please do drop us a little follow. Drop us when I'm on live. I'm always used to asking for followers. Please do subscribe. We are on our way to 3,000. We're about 180 away now. So if you could help me reach that, would be massively appreciated. And like this live as well if you are enjoying it. Probably be live for another 10 minutes or so. I'll get through these comments and then we'll do a little Q&A. You can ask me anything. I always like doing them when I do go live, which is very rarely. You can ask me questions about myself, questions about Cheltenham, questions about content, anything else. So yeah. Why is a manager now head of recruitment? Whatever job he has. Whatever job he has. Well, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because he never bloody shows his face, seemingly. Johnson coming back is a complete head shaker for me. Never saw it as a remote possibility. Complete head scratcher. And a terrible move from every perspective for the club. Again, it just reeks of desperation. It absolutely reeks of it. But, you know, I mean, I remember I was in London. I was in London when the news came out, and I'm pretty sure, did we not announce it on the same day that it got announced that Circum and Long were going to Forest Green? I'm pretty sure it did. Because I just remember thinking, what a shit day. What a terrible day of news. Do you know what I mean? So, it's just one of them things, man. I didn't mind feeling at the time before the season started with this experience, because at the end of the day, it's about getting sustainability and staying up. But it's not working so far. We're getting worse. The thing is, I was all for Flynn coming in, but I said it at the time, it's a gamble. It is a gamble. He's got experience, but with his track record, it's a gamble. I remember saying before he came in, you know, if he comes in and we get the Newport Flynn, fucking brilliant. I need to stop swearing, sorry. Absolutely brilliant. Really good. If we get the Swindon Flynn before he was sacked, if we get the Walsall Flynn, all the way down. Do you know what I mean? All the way down, and I've just got my camera out of focus. So, listen, I don't know. I mean, he's got time, I think. Well, in a lot of fans' heads, that time's already gone. But it'll be interesting to see how he responds to the immense criticism that he got on Saturday, because it didn't look good or sound good yesterday at all. Wonder why Lee Johnson was at the game yesterday. I mean, you know, he is just going to his dad's workplace, really, and he's not in a job at the moment, so I don't think there's any problem with that. If we appoint Lee Johnson, I will never be seen again. I will just say that. I can't stand the bloke. As someone who, well, my Scottish team is Hibs, and that's just for family reasons. I don't really follow Scottish football properly, but I do have a Hibs shirt and various things. Watching his interviews most weeks for Hibs, I already know I don't want him. I already know. I've seen enough. So it's just one of them things. But it is time for a Q&A. We'll be live for another about 5 minutes. So if you've got any questions, get them in now. Be happy to answer them. If you've got any sort of content you want to see come to the channel, don't be afraid to ask. I'm here for it. I'm trying to proper get back into the YouTube grind at the moment, so any content that you boys want to see, at the end of the day, I produce content for people to watch. I don't want to produce terrible content that no one's going to watch or no one's going to enjoy. So if you want to see something in particular, feel free to recommend it or DM me it on Instagram. Everyone knows my pages. My Instagram is just MatterMess_YT. Twitter is MatterMess. Is it MatterMess_YouTube? I think it's MatterMess_YouTube. Yeah. And then TikTok is MatterMess which we are actually, if you haven't followed the TikTok, go follow, because we're 1 follower away from 4.5k. So, only Carlisle, I see us getting at least something from that month. Be interesting. It'd be interesting, mate. But yeah, any questions to finish off the live? Get them in. I'm here for the next few minutes. In the meantime, I'll just waffle about Cheltenham if not. I should be going Colchester. I need to tick it off. The problem I've got with Colchester is, there's next to no one going, and it's always a slog if you're going all the way to somewhere like that and no one's going. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. It might be, I might end up getting the coach, to be honest. I suppose if I get the coach, I can get the vlog out fairly quickly. I guess there's every cloud has a slight silver lining. Going Colchester, don't know why I am, because you're a fan. Not a question, just some feedback. I see you around the ground, and you're always happy to say hi. Your content is great, including on the Robins report. Chris, you're a legend, mate. Hey, anyone that always comes up to me and says hello, unless you're actually really annoying, I will always be happy to say hello back and give some time to you. No, honestly, there's only been one occasion where someone was really doing my hiding because they just did not stop talking. But no, I'm only joking. In all seriousness, literally every person I've met that said hello, that watches the YouTube, you're all unreal. And I massively appreciate the support. I'm not a big YouTuber. Probably has something to do with the fact that Cheltenham are a tiny club. So, I mean, that probably helps me. But no, it's honestly, I love going to the games and, people that watch the videos shouting my name or saying hello and whatever. And honestly, it puts such a smile on my face. Well, actually, there has been times where it hasn't. Sometimes, after a game, if we've lost and people are trying to ask me for my thoughts, and I just give 2-word answers and walk off because I can't be asked. Cheltenham are huge. We're hugely shit. I've sworn again. I'm sorry. Future Thogden with your European vlogs. I don't think I want to be a future Thogden, if I'm honest. Could have picked any other YouTuber, but I'm Thogden. I used to like Thogden a lot. I think he's I don't know. I still I just think he seems to have a bit of an ego on his videos sometimes. That he didn't used to have. And that's not a dig at him at all, and maybe I'm wrong. If I was sat down talking to him, I'd love to ask him if he's deliberately changed his persona or anything. But no, I don't know. There's actually very few football vloggers that I watch. I used to watch loads, but now that I'm involved with it myself, I don't really watch many. I watch a lot of Ellis's videos. Watch all of Away Days videos. That's all it is. That's all I really watch. But yeah, be live for 1 more minute. If anyone's got any questions, any comments, get them in. If we haven't already, drop us a sub. We are currently, let me check the live sub count. We're on 2,816, so yeah, we're just over 180 away from 3,000. So any new subs, any shares would mean the absolute world, fellas. Been Cheltenham away 3 times. It's good to break the curse. Yeah, Liam. Honestly, I bet it's a massive monkey off the back. Next time you come, you'll be a bit more a bit less desperate for it. I guess so. Yeah, and it was. I mean, I said it in my intro. I don't know if you've watched the vlog, but I said it in my intro. It's 2 terrible sides. With all 3 of our games that we've won so far this season have been on home patch. We're against a poor Swindon side. We're also poor, but we're against a poor Swindon side who have never beat us at One Road. You know exactly what's going to happen, and what happened. There we go. Enjoyed the vlog. Must be annoying surrounded by some of those kids. More patient than me. Royston. It can get a bit annoying. Yes, it can get a bit annoying. But I mean, I just stand with my mates, and it's all right. Keep ourselves to ourselves. I just miss the days of like Block 7 when when I was when I was one of the kids. But I'd like to think I was actually mentally sane instead of some of these lot. We almost bottled it though. Couldn't watch the last 10 minutes, mate. We I don't know. I mean, we offered nothing, so I think. I mean, you look at stats. We could have won it. Oh, sorry, we could have equalised, but we didn't deserve to, mate. We were attacking wise. We were terrible, awful. Who's going up and down in League 2 and League 1? League 1, Blues are nailed on for me. And then it wouldn't surprise me if one of the previous League 2 clubs goes up. Honestly, like Wrexham, Mansfield, Stockport. One of them could easily go up. They've all looked unreal. And then playoffs, too early to say. Down from League 1, Shrewsbury had an insane game at Crawley the other day. Yesterday. I'm still not convinced by them, though. I mean, the nailed on ones for me are Crawley and Cambridge. Them two will go down. I'm almost certain. So I'll give you those two for now. And then going up from League 2, I'd say it's too tight up there. Like with Bradford winning yesterday and quite convincingly against Tranmere, I think that's well and truly blown the doors right open again. So, Davor, thank you, mate. It was nice to have a good away following. Always a rowdy bunch for once. Brilliant. Josh laughing at the start made me crease. Had to get it in. I got a lot more of like my reaction and my mates' reactions in the vlog. I thought I made it a bit better. I always thought, no, I'm just going to keep it as like a highlight sort of thing. But it is a vlog, so you've got to have an element of sort of a vlog style thing. So we're actually going to come back. It's been crumbling for the last 20. Yeah, but did we look much better than we did for the rest of the game? Not really, in my opinion. Marlon Pack to finish his career at One Road. I would absolutely love it. I would love it. And you know what? He's coming to the end of his career and my camera's gone out of focus again. His legs are going and whatever. But if he came back next season, say, he'd be streets better than Scott Bennett is now. So stay up, get some fucking American or Saudi investment and bring Marlon home. I would love it. Lloyd scored 2, I know. Who do you want in the FA Cup draw? Maidstone, mate. Bruh, run it back. I want it toxic. Run it back. Maidstone again. I want another 4-2, please. Can't believe you missed the second half starting. It's because I was doing my halftime chat. Which club do you think has the best away supporters? Bradford. When I've seen Bradford, they've been unreal. I've experienced Grimsby's away fans a few times. They're pretty good. They're pretty loud. I mean, I was in their away end at Southampton, and they were insane. And if I assume you're just asking League 2 here. We've got all right away fans. I'm joking. I wanted to keep a straight face for longer. I just couldn't. Yeah, them two for me are probably the main ones so far that I've seen. Like, I haven't seen enough of Notts County in the past. I have seen them before, but oh god, it was years ago. Going to be swapping league places with Forest Green at this rate. 1 10 pot club for another. Don't even. Swindon or MK Dons, best away fans. Bloody hell. Right. If Flynn gets sacked, who do we get? Adam Murray. There we go. We'll end on that. If Flynn does get sacked, Adam Murray. Right now. I want it tonight. Adam Murray. He's doing bits with Eastbourne. He's doing absolute bits. And he was good as a coach here. Bring him on. Absolutely bring him on. No halftime crummy. I haven't had crummy on at halftime in about a year. So, there we go. But yeah, right, anyway. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It has been a really enjoyable live. We might even do this for previews and reviews. I would like to do at least a review and a preview. Have I got a dog hair on my mic? Oh, I do. Well, that's a distraction. I would like to do a review or a preview for every game at least. I would like to do both, but it's a question of whether I can get the time. But if you want to see more of these, smash like, drop me a message on Instagram if you want to see more of these. If you haven't already, go and watch the recent matchday vlog. I mean, you're already on my channel, so it's easy enough to find. But I will just go and get the link for you. Because, you know, I'm nice like that. How do I... I'm like a granddad here. I don't even know how to share my own video. Get shareable link. There we go. Right. There's a link to the vlog. Bang. I think. Or have I just linked... No, I've just... Oh my god. No, I've just linked the live. I've just linked the live. Lads, I've lost my head here. I've lost my head. This is prime Matt Massey here. You're just watching me absolutely lose my head. Right. Right. Please tell me. Is that right? I can't even click the link because I'm not. Let me click it on my phone. Yes. Yes. Yes, it worked. Okay, anyway. If you haven't already, go and watch the vlog. Follow all the socials. Just search Matt MS. I'll come up because I'm famous. No. And yeah, follow for more. Subscribe for more. What did the fan get kicked out yesterday? I believe he was a Swindon fan in the home end. So, yeah. I think that's why. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. God bless you all. You're absolute legends. Tune into the Robins Report podcast. That'll be out Friday. Hopefully, I'll have some more content coming to the YouTube, whether it's a preview, whether it's just a random weekly show that I might start doing, which could be coming. Then stay tuned. But yeah, if I don't see you before, I'll hopefully see you at Colchester, or for a Colchester video. I'll keep you posted on Twitter. I'll keep you posted on YouTube comments. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. All the best. Have a class rest of your day. And I will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.